Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was. And what a beautiful day again. So, yes, what a beautiful day it's been. And I hope you're getting out in nature. I hope, bring your family out, if you have a dog, the dog would love to go with you. And Starlight's good with dogs right now. I have all to do to take care of myself. I thought about taking my son's dog with me, but that only lasted a couple seconds. Like, nah, no, that's a lot of work. So, and my grandson would witness his dog. So, anyway, I love you all. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you can give my videos a thumbs up. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi to Starlight by leaving Starlight a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family or friends. A rooster? Yes, you could share my videos with a rooster. How about a cow? Moo. The library people are wondering, where are these animals coming from in here? But yes, you could share my videos with a cow or a rooster. And also, don't forget my playlist. And plus, you can also check out my Instagram at 1995 Starlight or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. And a big, huge thank you to all of you. Yes, all of you, every single one of you. Some of you might just watch my videos. Thank you. Other people might subscribe. Thank you. If you subscribe, thank you. If you gave my videos thumbs up, thank you. And if you left me a message down below. Oh, thank you. And if you shared my videos with anyone out there, thank you. I appreciate all of you. So now let me see, did I get everything? Yes, I got everything. And so today's video, this is so important, and I have to be honest with you. I am going through some stuff right now, and so when I went to this is how this happens. Whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. But there's many times where I might be going through some stuff in my daytime, like we all have. Do you get shit that happens in your life? Yes, we all get shit. That happens, that you might get some news somewhere, and so what happens normally when you get the news, you're like, oh my, I'm in shock, all these things, you might be stressed out, you might be worried, but I am a whole lot better than I used to be. So I actually handle things a lot better than I did a long time ago, because I've been reprogramming the way I think and the way I perceive things and how I look at things, how, how I respond to those things when I hear it, because we're always being tested, like, let's, tell Starlight this. Have you ever been there? Like, like you're freaking out, you got some bad news somewhere, but I'm not like that anymore. Now it's like, okay, so Starlight was brainstorming, and so this is the kind of, I go through this is like the aliens out there, the good guys, the aliens, that are on God's side. Then there are the other aliens that are not on, God's side. But the aliens that are on God's side, somehow or another in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, they help me get answers. I mean, I could go to bed, have all these questions, like, okay, and then brainstorming through the night, and that's what I did, is toss and turn. I did get I've been dreaming up a storm lately. Wow. But then I wake up and I'm like, wow, I never even thought of that. So here we go, is what did Starlight, what kind of downloads did I get? Or, that's what I feel like. I've done this many times, go to bed one way, wake up, get the answers. It's magic. It really is. Somehow or another, when I'm sleeping, something's like helping me out to get the answers that I need, or even information that I never even thought of. So Do you got your seatbelt on? Okay, let's see. Let me see. Do I have a seatbelt? No, of course, Starlight doesn't have a seatbelt. So we're gonna pretend that Starlight has a seatbelt. Starlight's really quick at grabbing different things. I do have straps in here, but they're to my bags. But we're gonna, Starlight's gonna put her seatbelt on first because I'm driving. So let's see. Oh yeah, it goes like this. I'm gonna pull it over and it's gonna cross in front of me and I'm gonna click. Okay, there we go. Mine's on. Do you got your seatbelt on for this video? Because you're gonna need it. Warning, red alert, so this is one of those click it or you're gonna get a ticket. So don't mind Starlight. I am feeling better. When I'm acting like this, I'm feeling better. So anyway, my brainstorming last night, because I did get help, God, thank you, sending my alien friends to help me out through the night to get this information. And so are you, I don't know why, I got the giggles today. And I do get like this when I'm not feeling good. And, today's probably my greatest day. I didn't feel any side effects really, except for I do have a little congestion, going on. But all right. I don't know. I didn't do my homework, so I'll put the date on here if I remember. Is the year, and it has to do with the things get created for them that I'm a firm believer that they create messes so then later on they have a reason why they act like they're protecting us because hey, Starlight, 9/11 happened, what year was that in, then all the things that happened after 9/11, the cameras, did the Privacy Act come out, somewhere after that? I don't even know what year that was I know where I was. I was in a very bad area, I was in a cult church when I got the news because we didn't even watch the news. But we happened to be at a McDonald's and the news was there, and that's how I got the information about because I was living in New York at that time, but not where that happened, not at all. So my heart does go out to all those family members, and people that lost their lives out there. And so anyway, so then we got cameras up cameras all over the place, and then it got even worse, and that just grew, through time. And then the Privacy Act came out in certain time after, I believe, the 9/11. And so, now, like if I go into the doctors, they got that form, the Privacy Act form, that here you go, like, and if I want any of my family's, members to, like if I want a certain family member to know what's going on with my health, I can put their name on that form, and then I don't even know what it's like these days because I haven't been at the doctor's in years. What's up, doc? Yeah. And I'm grateful for that because I don't even trust the doctors. Starlight, I know, I said it, I'm just stating a fact. That's my opinion though. The things that I've learned on from years ago. And so anyway, is the Privacy Act. This is what this is about. Is now my question is, which is going to be the title. It's going to be part of the title. Is did they create the Privacy Act to protect you or to protect them? See how twisted this world is? We could have all been thinking, oh, the Privacy Act is to protect me and my privacy. But what if it was all turned around to deceive you, thinking that it's about your privacy, which there's no privacy at all anyway? That's my belief. Do you think there's really a privacy with all your business, your personal, your private information online? Do you? Some people could. There's people out there, yeah, my stuff is safe. Nobody can know anything about my stuff that happens with my doctor, can they? Could they? Could they actually find out stuff? I mean, like, they hacked into my bank account. They somebody took money out of my bank card, but that's a bank, right? That's a bank. And they got, what's that? Banks. I used to clean at a bank. Starlight had to know the codes, to the safe and all that stuff. Ooh, Starlight. No, I don't know the code to the safe box, right? So no, but Starlight had the code to get into the bank. They must have trusted Starlight. But you would think your money would be safe, that nobody could touch anything on your debit card, right? But then they got the Privacy Act about your doctor stuff and all this, Privacy Act for this, Privacy Act for that. So Starlight definitely does not believe there's any, I believe actually, when everything went on the computers, my belief system, it says we were screwed right at that point, because the only way they could get our information before was either pay somebody at the company and get the information that way, or, I could have been, hey, I'll get hired as a cleaner and, like go in there and steal the information from a certain, patient or whatever. I got a wild imagination. So anyway, do you really believe that we have a Privacy Act, number one? A lot of no's out there. Wow, there's a lot of no's. No, Starlight. Yeah, they hacked in my stuff too, Starlight. They hacked in my bank account and my Cash App. Well, oh yeah. By the way, thank you out there for Cash App. Somebody that sent some love to Starlight, and thank you so much. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of putting that in here, but yeah, somebody hacked into that person's Cash App and their bank account and whatever. That's happened to me before. I had to freeze my bank card, so then nobody else could take any more out. Then it took who knows how long to redo everything all over again, get it all set up. Isn't it a pain in the ass? That's why later on they're going to have other stuff and they're going to say now everything's going to be protected. Like a digital ID. That's a joke. It is not really a joke, Starlight. I know it's not a joke, but that is what is going to be coming, in 2026. I mean, the UK is already, that is something that they're going to be dealing with, we're going to be dealing with. And I have to thank my mentor, Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart. If you want to know more about those digital IDs, he just did a live stream and he's got topics on that on his live stream. So it is a real big deal. And, but that's not what this video is about. But I did want to just make that note right there really quick, is now the Privacy Act, was it made to protect you or is it made to protect the doctors in the hospital? And the reason why I'm coming up with this, and this is my brainstorming in the middle of the night, is because, with hospitals and doctors, Starlight's been in a psych hospital more than once. And the thing is, on that, they love when you don't have any family members that give two shits. They love when, when they do all the paperwork before you get into a psych hospital, they were like, hey, do you got any family members that you want to let them know that you're in here? And then you say, what family members? I couldn't, there's some members that, they didn't know anything. Now my kids were a different story. I was close in contact with them. Yeah, my kids cared, but I had other family members that could have cared less where I was and what was going on in my life. So when they hear that from the people coming into a psych hospital or any hospital or even a doctor, and there's a lot of people out there, guess what? A lot of doctors are screwing up big time on a lot of people. I don't even have to read the papers. All I got to do is be in public and hear stories. I just heard a story of a man the other day. He's an older man, and he complained the whole entire time that I was on at the library on the computer, and he was talking to a man. They both were talking. This guy, he had his case and all this stuff that he's going through. This guy that's talking to him and listening to him, he's got his own case and all this. I mean, like stories after stories after stories after stories after stories of, really, bad shit going on with doctors and patients. But there's no one protecting, the patients, because why? How are you going to prove anything? And, when it comes to keeping your family locked out of all of the stuff, now you're saying, well, Starlight, they had the privacy form that they had to, fill that out and let those loved ones know, that they can have a right to their papers. But the problem is that especially there's people out there, guess what? They get medicated badly. They get bad side effects. As time goes by, now this person's all messed up. Why? For a lot of reasons. Because they got them on medication that, they didn't even know how to diagnose a person. That's what they did with me. Didn't even know how to diagnose me. Oh, you're going to give me medication now? Wow. 3 doctors, they couldn't agree to how to diagnose me when I got into the hospital in 2016. When I was going through a spiritual awakening. That's why they couldn't make sense of it. Because they had this label, that label. Oh, hey, let's color this too over here. I mean, they were calling me all kinds of names. You want to call me names? Here, let me call you some names. Just kidding. It's all about love and peace on this. I'm just being funny because I got a lot of energy flowing here. But what if it was just really to keep people locked out, so then it protects the doctors more and it protects the hospitals more? Because now you don't have, if your family member is not all okay up here because the over medicated. I've met a lot of people. I've gone through this myself. I know what I'm talking about. I got so medicated at the hospital when I was in the psych hospital. The doctor knew exactly what he was doing. Some of those medications have a time release on when that medication, and they study people, they know what they're doing, especially if they've been using that medication on not the same patient, but different patients with the same kind of illnesses or whatever. It's like a time capsule, or something that is going to work on a certain time. Well, they put me they acted like, if you don't take medication, Starlight, you'll never be able to get out of the hospital. That's what they do. When you're in a psych hospital, they make it sound like the only way you're going to get out is you gotta, they're very forceful in a tricky, nasty way about doing it. They're like, if you do everything we want you to do, then we'll let you get out, Starlight. And they will observe everything that you're doing, everything that you say in a psych hospital. In a regular hospital, they're listening in. Nothing's private in that place. The phones, they're hacked. They know everything you're saying to your family members. When you get in there, you think that nobody hears everything. No, they hear everything that's going on in those hospitals. They know what's going on. They're not ignorant. They've been doing this for a long time, so imagine that the Privacy Act is to keep the families out, because when they medicate somebody up so much and now they're not the same person that they once was, they can't even make a decision because they got medicated up. Now, I have to say, I've been guilty of doing this myself. Is that time when that doctor, now I got to get back to the story where I was going to say, when I was in the psych hospital, they can keep you locked up in the Albany, New York area for 15 days by law, that they can lock you in there if the doctor feels that you should not leave the hospital. Whether you're good or not, they want to lock you up because it's the insurance money that they're getting. They're getting money. That's how they're getting money, is by locking you up and getting your insurance money to lock you in there. When you get in one of those places, they don't want you to get back out, and they make it very hard. Those psych hospitals are all different everywhere you go. Because I've been in ones that had a lot of stuff going on. They had group rooms for you where you can, color if you want, Another one later on, you can listen to music, relax, play some games. Another, later on in the day, and then you can watch TV. You can go in a room over here and play music. There's puzzles in the community room. You can have games. So and then other ones, they have absolutely shit going on in there. The TV, that's it. But you're going to stay there for 15 days and only have a TV. That's where they do this stuff purposely to get people triggered. So, and I know this is not by me reading it in the book. This is by me going through it. My daughter has gone through it. My daughter is not well right now because of what has gone on behind the curtain out there in these psych hospitals. My daughter and I went through a spiritual awakening at the same time. We both didn't know what was going on. My daughter was in a hospital before I was. Then later on, she got out. They didn't want her in. They didn't want her out to get out of the hospital. They were trying to keep her in, even though she voluntarily signed in there. She didn't know what was going on, and she voluntarily signed in, and this hospital was trying to keep her in there, and they were triggering a lot of people playing head games with the patients in the hospital. It was no joke. It was serious stuff. And I got my story on my YouTube channel when you go and check out Spiritual Awakenings, where Starlight believes that they put medication in my food without my permission because I would not take the medications in there. So my daughter has been in and out of the psych hospitals for years and gotten in a lot of trouble because some of these side effects, when they go through stuff with medications, it could cause them to do a lot of crazy stuff without them even being aware of what they're doing. So my daughter got in a whole lot of trouble because of this. This is not easy for me to make this video because it is my family. But I am using my daughter here as an example of the kind of crap that goes on in the hospitals with the doctors. Not all doctors, but there's doctors out there that they have things set up in a certain way where it protects them. It's protecting the doctor, because now if you have a patient that's not all right upstairs right now because the over medication, and how do you know, like what they did with me, if they didn't do it with other people to keep them in the psych hospitals even longer, to mess them up, really mess them up. And I do understand that weaning yourself off of medication is not good, but I have done this. I have done it. I did my research. That doctor, when I was in the hospital, I had 15 days to stay locked in that hospital, and they had nothing for you to do except for a TV in that room, in that building. So in that building, when they had me locked in there, is that they were trying to get me to do medication, and I caved in. I'm like, I want to get the blank out of here. I want to get the blank out of here. Get me out of this place. I don't belong in here, And so the doctor did. He gave me a medication, and the timing, he knew what was going to happen with me before it even, the time thing. That medication, and it might have been like 3 days before a court, I had to go to court after the fifth. They can't keep you in there over 15 days. So I had a court date, the time and all this. Okay, on this day, Starlight, you got to go to court. Well, on that particular day, that's when the medication was kicking in. It kicked in so bad, I felt like death. I was like, holy shit, what the fudge did they freaking, I felt horrible. I was just like, holy shit. And I got court date today. So I was like, holy fudge. I am so serious, how horrible I felt, and it just was kicking in. And I went to one of the staff, and this must have been a staff that was a decent person. If you don't have the right people as a staff, as workers in there, you're screwed. That person, I thank God for that person. That person said Starlight. Of course, they didn't use Starlight's name, but they said, if you want to get out of this hospital, because I told them, I said, I said that the medication, it's affecting me in a really bad way right now. I feel horrible. I mean, like, whoo. And he's like, Starlight, if you want to get out of it, you got court date today. If you go to the doctor right now and tell them that medication is affecting you in a negative way, you're not going to even get out of here. They'll keep you in here longer. And it's like, what? Holy fudge. I mean, I am actually acting it. I'm not here to get you to feel bad for me. I'm here to wake your ass up, to tell you the truth of what's going on in these places. It could happen to any of us. It happened to me. It happened to my daughter. And so I had no choice but to bite my freaking tongue. I wasn't going to go to that doctor. I had a lawyer, a female lawyer, and I told her the stuff that was going on in there. I had sexual harassment that happened in that hospital. And I asked that lawyer, I said, do I need to be in this hospital supervised? Like, why do they have me in here? I felt fine. I felt great before the doctor gave me the medication. Isn't that tweaking? There's nothing wrong with me. I felt good. I felt ready to get out. But once that medication was given to me, and it happened to be that it just boom, right on the day of the court day. Then I went to court. That doctor really made me look really bad. He said he was using everything he had to try to keep me locked up in that hospital. So the judge heard his story, and then that judge had to hear my lawyer's story, what she had to say about my case. And so she already did her homework about the medication. What kind of medication am I on? Do I need to be supervised? So she already knew her stuff, I'm assuming. In that I was being sexual harassed, it triggered me in that hospital. A lot of people witnessed it. They actually had to have a couple of nurses because I couldn't breathe, because I got raped a year before around that same month, and then somebody trapped me into a closet that they weren't even supposed to be by themselves, but the staff wasn't doing their job. He went and trapped me into the closet, just like what happened when I got raped. Not raped. Yes, I did get raped a year before. So now that judge had to make up his mind of what he was going to do. Was he going to lock Starlight in there with, a person that sexual harassed her in there and trapped her up in a room, just like what happened a year before that? And the medication, I didn't need to have a doctor to supervise me with that medication. So praise God, I was able to get out of that hospital. But I'll tell you what, you had to wait all that day and get them all to do the paperwork and all that stuff. And doctors were telling other patients and other staff members, talking behind their back. There was a person that went to court throughout that time when I was in that hospital, and he lost another case. That person was able to get home without that person knowing. He was telling everybody in the hospital that, oh yeah, I can't believe the judge let him get out of the hospital. He said all this stuff about that patient and said, wow, the judge let him out. Freaking crazy. He should be in here. He didn't like it. That the judge must have been seeing something going on. I don't even know if it was the same judge or not. But he was talking behind patients' backs and telling about their information. There was no Privacy Act going on. I couldn't believe it. He was talking, so I wouldn't doubt when I got out of there and when I got back to my apartment, I wouldn't doubt that he was talking behind my back. Oh yeah, you wouldn't believe what stuff Starlight said and blah, 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 blah. And I can't believe the judge is letting her out too. So I'm saying all these things. This is a true story that really happened to me in 2016, is that if you don't have family out there to be there for you and you sign, and they over medicate you. When I got home after the hospital, I was deaf. I was deaf. I could barely move. I was so drained. I had no life in me. I don't even know how. Every little bit of, I had to go in a taxi. I had my stuff, I didn't have a lot of stuff. And I was just totally blown away. I was deaf. What was I going to do? I only had to do what I had to do. I had no doctor at this point. I had to wean myself off of that medication. And I had to be careful because they gave me capsules with little balls in there. So I had to, I didn't know what I was doing at this point. But man, I was deaf. I felt like death. And this is what they do with people and patients in there. They get them messed up. When they find out there's nobody that's calling in and finding out how their family members are, or they don't, you don't get no phone calls from any family members, and it's like playtime for them. So is the Privacy Act really for you, for your privacy? Or is it to keep lock your family members out? So then these people go through so many things that nobody's there to even know what the fuck is going on. Yeah, I did swear. Because it's a messed up mess. When you go in those psych hospitals, even what you say on the phone is not private. If you went and talk on the phone and they hear everything that you're saying, how do you know what they're not doing in that hospital to keep you, they could even add more medication in your food without you even knowing, like they did with me. And I can't prove my case, but my story is on my YouTube channel, how I didn't eat that food. A guy named Peter did. He's the one that freaked out and went all crazy 15 minutes after he ate my food. That's a true story that I put on there on my YouTube channel because it's so important. Is that, did they really create the Privacy Act to keep your stuff private? Or is it to keep everybody locked out so when they're so medicated, they have nobody to stand up for them? Because then, if you're all medicated and not even feeling right, you're not in your right state of mind. And that's what's gone with my daughter. My daughter has not called me in a long time because of things that's gone on. So we need to wake up to really what's going on. And those, is it really a Privacy Act to help you, or is it to protect them? So you can think about that on your own, because it makes sense to me what is going on. There's so many people, so many freaking cases out there nobody ever hears about because nobody can ever prove. It's the court, people will believe the doctor over the patient. Just like people will believe the police officer over, a person. So how are these people going to protect themselves from, when doctors are not, they got greedy. They got greedy for the money and the control, making money, not caring about their health, really, So I love you all. And, if anybody really, if you could pray for my daughter, I really appreciate that, because she's in a situation right now is because they did this. They created this big ass mess from the very beginning, because they put people in psych units and then they go through more trauma that causes more problems. And so anyway, I love you all, and you can give this video a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And please share this video. This is so important. Share, share, share. You really want this to happen to you or your family members. If you don't have any family members that are rich and loaded with money, that are checking up on their kids, it could happen to any of us. Just like it happened to me, just like it's, my daughter. It's a shame what's going on. And but we need to do something. You got a story, that you've gone through. We need more people to stand up. We really need to take action and make, do something about these things that are going on in the world. And by using your voice and telling your story, speaking your truth, this is one step of getting there. So anyway, I love you so much. And you could share my videos with your family or friends. How about people that have had issues in the hospital? How about their families? Share that with their families. Say, hey, check this out. It's a real deal here. This is no lying. So I would go under any lie, detect, and test on any of my stories that I have on my YouTube channel. So I love you so much. And also, you can check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. Is it for your protection or for theirs? Think about it. I believe I'm right. That is, I'll tell you, it makes a whole lot of sense. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.